The members and guests beyond the rail and in the gallery, please rise. Today will be led in our prayer by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Elfi, after which please remain standing. We'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by Senator Price.
Good morning. Saint Francis de Sales understood the importance of ongoing self-reflection for the advancement of the human spirit. He taught, have patience with all things, but chiefly have patience with yourself. Do not lose courage in considering your own imperfections, but instantly set about remedying them. Every day, begin the task anew. By wrestling with the parts of ourselves that still need to grow or be refined, we do more than merely cover up our mistakes or weaknesses. What ultimately is accomplished by the act of wrestling with ourselves is the ennobling of the human spirit. St. Francis reminds us that the process of self-examination is as important as the goal of bettering oneself. By each day examining ourselves anew, we are given the opportunity to see areas in which we can not only better ourselves, but also to be able to take pride in our development and growth as human beings. May it be the will of the Creator that we shall always have the courage to look at ourselves with honesty, the humility to know that there is always room for improvement, and the capacity to find joy, even in the most modest of our achievements. May this be God's will. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mom.
Take care.
Okay, have a good day.
We got 21.
Members, we're on privileges of the floor. Members, we're going to move on to messages of the Assembly will be deemed read, reports of committee will be deemed read, and amendments adopted. We're now on motions, resolutions, and notices. Pursuant to Rule 2910C, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. Item 4, AB 1369. And regarding floor amendment motion, members, there are amendments at the desk and will be deemed adopted. Members, introductions and first reading of bills will be deemed read. We're going to move on to consideration of the daily file. Would the Secretary please read the second reading file?
Senate Bill 1118 with amendments, 1282 with amendments, Assembly Bill 1500 with amendments, and Assembly Bill 1369 with amendments.
Moving on to gubernatorial appointments. Passed momentarily. We're going to unfinished business, members. File item 8, Senator Wolk. Pass on file. File item 9, Senator Alquist. Not at her desk. File item 10, Senator Cedillo. Not at his desk. File item 11, Senator Kehoe. Not at her desk. File item 12, Senator Price. Pass on file. File item 13, Senator Correa. Not at his desk. File item 14, Senator Simidian. Will the Secretary please read file item 14?
Senate Joint Resolution 18 by Senator Simidian relative to marine aquaculture.
Senator Simidian.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Joint Resolution 18 simply encourages the federal government to adopt standards for aquaculture in federal waters that are as rigorous as California's own. California took the national lead on this issue back in 2006 with the adoption of our Sustainable Oceans Act. It has since drawn, the measure has since drawn national attention and interest. There is activity at the federal level, and we're simply asking that standards be adopted for federal waters that are at least as rigorous as our own California Sustainable Oceans Act. Back on concurrence, co-authors added. Respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Ashburn. No. Calderon. Cedillo. Cogdill. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Denham. No. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. No. Kehoe. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Weiland. Yee. Yee. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Pavley. Aye.
Please call the absent members. Please call the absent.
Onnested. Aye to no.
Please call the absent members.
Calderon. Cedillo. Cox. Dutton. Dutton, no. Harmon. Kehoe. Aye. Oropesa. Runner. Steinberg. Aye. Wiggins. Wright. Weiland. Weiland, aye. Calderon, aye. Correa, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 9. The resolution is adopted. Senator Correa, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under motions and resolutions, I request unanimous consent to remove SCR 89 or item 133 from consent in order to take up this measure at this time from Mr. Steinberg's desk.
Without objection, members, will the Secretary please read file item 133?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 89 by Senator Correa relative to Win Ngoc Phu Human Rights Memorial Interchange.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, if I have a moment, this is a resolution to designate, rename a part of Beach Boulevard in the name of Mr. Phu Win. We'll be renaming it the Phu Win Human Rights Memorial. If you have a moment, this is an individual who lives in my district, lived in my district, part of my district that's very blue collar, where it's not uncommon for families, for mom and dad, for some of the kids to work to pay the mortgage. Very hard working neighborhoods. And this young man I met at one of my community events and came to me and said that he wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to go to medical school, but that his grades and his test scores were still being worked on. He was 21 at the time, and I asked him, I said, what do you want to do with your life? He said, I want to come back, be a doctor, come back from medical school, and open up some community clinics and help out those in need in my area. So I told him, I said, let's see what you can do, young man. Why don't you come work with me? And for about a year, he came and volunteered in my office, organized community clinics, community volunteerism, got students involved, got young people involved in some very good activities. This is when I was on the County Board of Supervisors. About a year later, at home, he got a letter from the UCLA postdoc program saying he'd been accepted to the UCLA postdoc program, a program that after you complete this program, it's about a year program, satisfactory grades, you're essentially almost guaranteed, effectively guaranteed to getting into the UCLA Medical School. The young man was about a step or two away from fulfilling his dreams. Called my office about noon to let us know that he was in. Called my wife, who's a UCLA med school graduate, told her the good news. About 20 minutes later, had a massive heart attack in front of his home. Passed away at the ripe age, the young age of 21 years old. So I'm hoping you join me today in voting for this resolution to name parts of Beach Boulevard in his memory. Why? Because at the age of 21, he did so much at the age of 21. You're such a role model to the other kids in the neighborhood because, again, hard work in blue-collar area where a lot of the kids don't do well. A lot of kids end up going to jail. This man was paving the road for a lot of other kids who were his friends and neighbors. Members, if you can, please join me in voting for SCR 89, renaming parts of Beach Boulevard as a Phu Nguyen Human Rights Memorial. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Correa. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye. Onnested. Aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Senator Correa. Members, we're going to go back to, for a moment, privileges of the floor. I'd like to recognize Senator Pavley.
Thank you very much. Members, please join me in welcoming students, parents, and teachers from Point Dume Elementary School in beautiful Malibu, California, that are up here for a visit of Sacramento and the surrounding areas. Welcome.
Welcome to the California State Senate. Thank you, Senator Pavley. Members, moving back to our unfinished business, Senator Steinberg, file item 15. Will the Secretary please read file item 15?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 91 by Senator Steinberg relative to Autism Awareness Month.
Senator Steinberg.
This is a simple resolution that's back for concurrence, clarifying amendments to stress the importance of early diagnosis and treatment of the disorder. Ask for an aye vote.
Okay. Members, any objection to utilizing the prior unanimous roll call? Seeing, hearing none. Ayes. Adding Senator Wright, members. Ayes 33, no 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator Correa, you are recognized at your desk.
Sir, I'd like to go back to item number 13.
File item 13. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 96 by Senator Correa relative to California Peace Officers Memorial Day.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, this measure designates a day in May as California Peace Officers Memorial Day and would urge all Californians to use this day to honor California's peace officers that have made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our families and our constituents. I ask for an aye vote.
Without objection?
Members, without objection, is there any? We're going to use the unanimous roll call, adding Senator Wright, which we did earlier. Ayes 33, no 0. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Senator Correa. Moving on to file item 16, Senator Denham. File item 16, will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 79 by Senator Denham, an accolade to the Portuguese Heritage Month.
Mr. President, members, SCR 79 recognizes the month of June as Portuguese Heritage Month in honor of the many contributions of Portuguese Americans in the U.S. and California. Portuguese Americans have truly made valuable and substantial contributions to every facet of California life. Portuguese Americans continue to thrive in agriculture communities of the San Joaquin Valley and the Santa Clara Valley. The Portuguese Heritage Society of California has set aside the second Saturday in June to celebrate Portuguese culture and music, dance, art, cooking, and parades and other festivities. This was amended in the Assembly to add co-authors and requires concurrence. I would ask for your aye vote again.
Members, any debate or discussion on this? Any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? Ayes 33, no 0. The resolution is adopted. And Senator Denham, we're going to recognize you at Senator Steinberg's desk.
Members, please welcome Mr. Alvarez, who is a prominent voice in the Portuguese community throughout Central California. Mr. Alvarez has a Portuguese radio program that reaches from throughout the Central Valley, from Sacramento to Bakersfield. The program is called The Voice of the Azores. Mr. Alvarez is truly an active member in the Portuguese community. He's here with us this morning. I'd like to present him with this resolution and ask him to say a few words.
Welcome to this.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you, Senator Denham. Members, we're moving on to Senate third reading file. Senate third reading file, members. We're going to begin with file item 23, Senator Corbett. Not at her desk. File item 24, Senator Leno. Not at his desk. File item 25, Senator Leno. Pass on file. File item 26, Senator Leno. What item would you like to proceed on, Senator?
24, please.
File item 24, Senator Leno. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 906 by Senator Leno, an act relating to marriage.
Senator Leno.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, you may remember that during the debate that swirled around the state during the Proposition 8 campaign in 2008, there was some concern, if not misinformation, regarding risks to clergy who felt that they might be forced against the basic tenets of their own religion to perform a marriage which they could not. There was even concern that if these marriages were not performed, should there be marriage equality in California, that religious institutions could even lose their tax-exempt status. Now, I take these concerns very seriously, and though we do not have marriage equality for same-sex couples in the state at this time, it's quite possible we may have in the future. That's yet to be determined by the voters. But nonetheless, I think it's completely appropriate for the legislature to relieve any concerns any clergy have with regard to any kind of marriage, whether it be interracial or interfaith. And so all this bill simply does is reiterates a First Amendment to our Constitution's right to freedom of religion, that no minister, rabbi, priest, or any religious institution will not be required to perform any kind of marriage which is counter to their religious beliefs. So this is religious freedom put into statute. And additionally, we'll put into statute through this bill that no religious institution would ever lose their tax-exempt status as a result of not performing a marriage their religion cannot allow them to perform. So just to use a little analogy here, we know that we have civil divorce in the state of California, but it is the Catholic Church's First Amendment right, their freedom of religion, not to recognize those divorces. And that's really the genius of our democracy, that we can have civil codes which reflect a sense of equality for everybody, but at the same time, not incongruously, freedom of religion, that we respect everyone's right to their own religious beliefs. So this will put into law clarification that which is civil marriage. We know the state of California can't be involved in any other kind of marriage but civil marriage. And in fact, our family code has always defined marriage as a personal relationship arising out of a civil contract. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Any debate or discussion on this, members? Senator Ashburn.
Thank you, Mr. President. A word or two on a personal note before I speak to the bill. I would not have been speaking on a measure dealing with sexual orientation ever prior to the events that have transpired in my life over the last 3 months. However, I am no longer willing or able to remain silent on issues that affect sexual orientation, the rights of individuals. And so I'm doing something that is quite different and foreign to me, and it's highly emotional. I intend to be speaking on 2 measures today. I had not anticipated this measure coming first. There are 2 parts to this bill, as Senator Leno has presented it, I think clearly. The first has to do with protecting the rights of those in the religious community against any repercussions for their actions in performing marriage ceremonies. I strongly support protecting religious freedom and the rights of individuals to, within the confines and the parameters of their faith, to either perform marriage or not. And this bill correctly addresses that and makes it clear in law that individuals of religious faith will not in any way suffer repercussion. The second part of the bill, however, is troublesome because in, I believe, 9 or 13 different places in statute, the word civil is inserted through this measure ahead of the word marriage. And that occurs, this proposal occurs on top of the vote of the people on Proposition 8 and on the litigation that ensued and on the very likely event that marriage will be back on the ballot in the near future. I think that creates a confusing, untenable situation that is not helpful on this whole issue. For me, gay marriage is a very complicated issue, and I wish that this bill only dealt with that first portion of ensuring that those who perform a ceremony are in no way, that there is no fallout, no repercussion, no legally adverse event to them. So it is with great difficulty, really, that I recommend that we vote no, because this bill is very, in its second part, is very troublesome.
Thank you, Senator Ashburn. Members, any more debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Leno, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me clarify for all those who are listening today, this bill has absolutely nothing to do with anyone's sexual orientation. The 2 parts of the bill, I guess the 2 aspects of the bill to which Senator Ashburn refers, would be the only new section in the bill that is noted at all, which is Section 2, subsection A, where we add the words, "No person authorized by this subdivision shall be required to solemnize a marriage that is contrary to the tenets of his or her faith. Any refusal to solemnize a marriage under this subdivision shall not affect the tax-exempt status of any entity." The second aspect of the bill to which the senator refers is that, yes, we have indeed added the word civil in front of the word marriage everywhere it is noted in the family code. Section 300. And the reason we do that is to, again, reiterate, when the state speaks of marriage, it is civil and civil alone. We, the state, cannot be speaking of anything other than civil marriage. We are not engaged in the business of religious marriage. That is to be reserved for religious institutions. So there's nothing confusing about this. The first aspect relates directly to the second aspect. The state can only be in the business of civil marriage, and that's all this bill clarifies. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negleta McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Onnested, no. Denham, no. Mr. President.
Ayes 23, noes 11. The measure passes. Members, if we could just take a moment in the back, we have the Maryhill Pocket Elementary School. Please give them a big hand and welcome to the California Senate. They look like future senators just looking at them, right? Thank you for joining us today. Very much appreciate it. Senator Price, you wanted to return to an item, and I believe it was file item 12. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Well, members, we're going to move to file item 12, which is an unfinished business. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 87 by Senator Price relative to American Stroke Month.
Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I'm presenting Senate Concurrent Resolution 87. It's back for concurrence since we added 58 co-authors in the Assembly. This measure declares the month of May 2010 to be American Stroke Month in California. Stroke is the leading cause of serious long-term disability and the third leading cause of death in the United States. Each year, stroke kills over 130,000 people nationwide and nearly 16,000 people in California alone. One of the reasons I authored this resolution is because the impact of stroke on the African American community is particularly high. As a part of this year's effort to raise awareness, the American Heart Association is working on a program called Power to End Stroke. The goal is to reduce stroke in the African American community by empowering them to reduce their risk and recognizing the warning signs and to respond quickly. Members, many of us have been touched personally by this deadly and debilitating disease. I ask you to join me in supporting SCR 87 and helping to raise awareness in our communities.
Thank you, Senator Price. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, is there any objection to utilizing unanimous roll call? Ayes 34, no 0. The resolution is adopted. Members, moving back to file item 25, Senator Leno. Pass on file. File item 26, Senator Leno. File item 27, Senator Price. File item 27, will the Secretary please read? Senator Price.
Senate Bill 1434 by Senator Price, an act relating to voter registration.
Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'm pleased to present SB 1434, which clarifies current law with respect to voter registration cards. Existing election law continues contains a number of rebuttable presumptions that elections officials can make when a voter does not fill out certain information on a voter registration card. For example, if no middle name or initial is shown on the voter registration card, it's presumed none exists. However, if a voter doesn't fill in their state or country of birth on the state voter registration card, current law requires county election officials to contact the voter before processing the voter registration card. As a result, some counties are using limited staff time and resources to obtain information that has no bearing on whether a person is eligible to register to vote. Furthermore, the federal voter registration form does not require a person to identify their state or country of birth. Since it's not a requirement on the federal form and is not used to determine a person's eligibility to register, there's no need for it to be filled out on the state form. SB 1434 creates a rebuttable presumption that if a person doesn't identify their place of birth, it is presumed they are eligible to register to vote as long as they mark the box stating that they are a citizen of the United States and sign the registration form under penalty of perjury. This bill is potentially a cost savings measure for the counties and is sponsored by the Secretary of State. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Price. Is there any debate or discussion on this, members? Seeing, hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Ashburn? Cedillo? Correa? Cox? Denham? Ducheney? Aye. Harmon? Oropesa? Wiggins?
Ayes.
Correa, no. Ashburn, no.
Ayes 21, noes 11. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 29, Senator Yee, not at his desk. File item 30, Senator Liu. Pass on file. File item 31, Senator Calderon. Will the Secretary please read file item 31?
Senate Bill 1131 by Senator Calderon, an act relating to state government.
Senator Calderon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, the SB 1131, fairly simple bill, a common sense bill. It protects and prohibits the state from expending any state funds for the purpose of filming or producing commercials or other film materials outside of the state. As you're all aware, the motion picture industry is an essential source of the economy. Tax revenues are derived from there, many jobs, tourism, and so forth. And the film, television, and commercial production activity contributes more than $40 billion to the California economy, and the industry directly employs almost 300,000 workers. The average daily shooting costs on a feature film or TV series runs from $150,000 to $250,000 per day. And that's actual dollars that each production spends on groceries, gas, building supplies, paychecks, all the ancillary expenses. Every time a production chooses to go out of the state, California loses not only jobs, but tax revenues. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing, hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Ashburn, no. Correa, aye. Cedillo, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Cox? Denham? Ducheney? Harmon? Huff? Lowenthal? Aye. Oropesa? Wiggins? Wright? Wright, aye.
Ayes 24, noes 7. The measure is passed. Moving on and going back to file item 29, members, with Senator Yee. Will the Secretary please read?
Thank you very much.
Senate Joint Resolution 24 by Senator Yee relative to violence against women.
Senator Yee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Senators, SJR 24 is a rather straightforward resolution. It urges that Congress pass the International Violence Against Women Act. And this is a rather important issue for all of us because every day we hear more and more horrific stories about violence against women. 1 out of every 3 women globally have been beaten, coerced into sex, or otherwise abused in their lifetime. What is particularly problematic for me when you have a family that is in distress and there is violence against women is that our children watches those kinds of behavior on the part of men against women, and that's something that is just absolutely unacceptable and something that we've got to really stamp out. What that does is that it creates a situation where young boys watch their dads harm their moms, and what that suggests is that it is okay to do that. And for girls growing up, that I guess that's how we are treated. And those are the legacies that we will leave for our children, and we need to do whatever we can to prevent that from happening. And so hopefully with this resolution, it will move Congress a little faster to adopt this particular act, and with that, urge an aye vote.
Okay. Senator Yee, thank you. Members, any debate or discussion on this? Senator Wyland, recognized at your desk.
This is obviously a huge international issue, and I am going to support it. But the reality is it's through the United Nations, which is becoming more and more farcical when you see the members appointed to various commissions and departments of the United Nations, whether it's, and human rights is a perfect example, where you see many, many instances of countries participating in those special sections of the United Nations that are some of the most repressive countries there are. I think the United States ought to exercise much greater pressure, financial and otherwise, on the United Nations. However, I think the intent and the problem is so important worldwide that I will support this, but I think we ought to recognize the United Nations is not really a very good place to get this done.
Thank you, Senator Wyland. Members, is there any objection to utilizing prior roll call? Well, there is. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Denham. DeSaulnier. I. Ducheney. I. Dutton. Flores. I. Hancock. I. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Huff. Kehoe. I. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Romero. I. Runner. Smidian. I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. Walters. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee I. Correa I. Cedillo I.
Ayes 24, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Moving on to file item, going back to file item 32, Senator Leno, recognized at his desk, already standing. Will the Secretary please please read the item?
Senate Bill 1472 by Senator Leno, enacting to unemployment insurance.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 1978, California created history by creating the nation's first work-share program. Now, that happens to be the same year that I started my own small business, but for 32 years, I never knew that California had a work-share program or what a work-share program is. This bill is a part of the President Pro Tem's Agenda 2010, and what it does is it requires the Employment Development Department to develop and implement a public education campaign to inform California's employers about and increase participation in our work-share program. Now, what is this program? It allows an employer, especially during these down economic times, to rather than fire an employee, just to reduce that employee's hours, and allows the employee to pick up partial unemployment insurance benefits. So this program is really a win-win-win. It's a win for employers who don't have to lay off staff, subsequently only to have to invest in the training and rehiring process. It benefits the employee who doesn't need to be fired from a job and go on full unemployment, but to continue working, hopefully to return to full employment once times get better, and pick up partial unemployment insurance benefits. And it benefits our state unemployment insurance fund, which will not have to pay full benefits when they could be paying half. So I would ask for your support. The bill has absolutely no opposition, and I'm proud to say it has the support of both the California Labor Federation and the National Federation of Independent Businesses. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Members, any debate or discussion on this? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. No. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Cogdill. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Denham. No. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. No. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. I. Liu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Oropesa. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Romero. I. Runner. No. Smidian. Steinberg. I. Strickland. No. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee I. Cedillo I. Smidian I.
Ayes 23, noes 9. The measure passes. File item 33, Senator Wolk. Oh, okay. File item 34, Senator Cogdill. Pass on file. File item 35, Senator Cedillo. Pass on file. File item 36, Senator Padilla. Pass on file. Oh, Senator Padilla. File item 36. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1255 by Senator Padilla, enacting schools.
Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 1255 would prohibit the sale of sugar-sweetened sports drinks at California public schools during school hours. It's part of the governor and my and others' efforts to continue to combat childhood obesity throughout the state. Many of you were in the legislature in 2004 when the state barred the sale of sugar-sweetened sodas at schools during school hours. The way the law was written allowed the sale of a lot of sports drinks that have equal amounts, in some cases more amounts, of sugar to continue to be sold. So this closes that loophole, if you will. It does not affect athletic programs, practices, games where athletes do need that type of electrolyte replacement. This specifically focuses on the sale of these drinks to students during school hours. Would appreciate your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none. Yes, Senator Strickland, recognized at his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I rise in opposition to this bill. I respect the author, but I rose against the soft drink bill a few years ago in the State Assembly. Simply put, I think that this is nanny government run amok. I would encourage our members to focus in on things that will create jobs, fix the budget, and allow parents to be parents, allow kids to be kids, because, even if you pass this bill, what's happening is kids will just go to the convenience store and then they'll just bring it on campus. Childhood obesity is a problem, but part of that problem is kids aren't going out and playing, they're not athletic, they're not doing activities. And, this bill is misguided. I think it's nanny government. What makes us here in the legislature think that we're smarter than the parents and the families across the state of California. I just think this is a bad measure, and I urge everybody to vote no on this measure.
Thank you, Senator Strickland. Members, any debate or discussion? Senator Padilla, you may close.
Respect Senator Strickland tremendously, and in one part, he's absolutely right. This bill alone will not solve the childhood obesity crisis in this state. To tackle that truly, we do need a balance of better physical activity and fitness policy statewide, and there are bills working their way through the legislature yet again this year to address that. But the caloric intake, the what we eat side of the equation continues to be challenging, and this is part of that side of the equation. But most experts will tell you, will agree, that when it comes to electrolyte replacement beverages, they do have a role to play when it comes to pretty comprehensive physical activity regimens. And that's why we're not touching the football team, we're not touching the soccer team, we're not touching the basketball team and others. What pulling the sale of electrolyte replacement beverages out of vending machines during the lunch hour or during the recess hour is trying to get at the consumption, the overconsumption on behalf of students who aren't as physically active, who go and buy the sometimes large bottles that are 2-3 times the serving size, chug it down during their lunch or with their lunch, and then go right back into class and sit for the next 2 hours. That's not the way these sport drinks were intended. Their manufacturers will tell you that. And again, it's consistent with the law that was put in place back in 2004 when we pulled the sale of sugar-sweetened sodas out of schools during school hours. So with a better context, I'd ask for your aye vote.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? No. Flores?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? No. Yee.
Please call the other members.
Onnested? Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cox. Ducheney. Harmon. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Steinberg. Wiggins. Wright. Yee.
Senator Padilla moves a call. File item 37, Senator Correa. Not at his desk. File item 38, Senator Price. Will the Secretary please read file item 38?
Senate Bill 957 by Senator Price, an act relating to student financial aid.
Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Senate Bill 957 requires the California Student Aid Commission to strategically direct Cal Grant C funds to recipients seeking occupations with high employment demand, growth potential, high wages, or importance to California's strategic initiatives. Current law requires the Commission to administer the Cal Grant C funds to help students who are pursuing occupational and technical training with tuition, fees, and related costs. However, current law is silent on how to best prioritize the awarding of Cal Grant C funds. SB 957 requires that the California Student Aid Commission to give priority in granting Cal Grant C awards to students pursuing occupational or technical training in areas that meet at least two of the following criteria: high employment need, high employment salary or wage projections, and high employment growth. Additionally, Senate Bill 957 would require CSAC to develop and regularly update the areas of occupational and technical training for which students may utilize Cal Grant C awards. The requirement will ensure alignment with the state's dynamic economic needs. Members, this is an important measure that seeks to utilize Cal Grant C funds in a way that will provide the most economic benefit for our state, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Price. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. No. Corbett. Correa. Corbett, aye. Correa, aye. Cox. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton. Flores.
Aye.
Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. No. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye.
Ayes 26, noes 3. The measure is passed. Members, moving back to file item 37, Senator Correa, you're recognized at your desk.
Mr. President, I'd like to move this item to inactive.
Without objection. Thank you, Senator Correa. Members, moving on to file item 39, Senator Oropesa, not at her desk. File item 40, Senator Wolk. File item 40, pass on file. File item 41, pass on file. File item 42, Senator Ducheney. File item 42. Pass on file. File item 43, Senator Corbett. Pass on file. File item 44, not eligible. File item 45, Senator Wolk. Senator Wolk, will the Secretary please read file item 45?
Senate Bill 1173 by Senator Wolk, an act relating to recycled water.
Senator Wolk.
Thank you, Mr. President. 1173 expands existing law to promote the use of recycled water in place of raw water for non-potable uses such as industrial cooling and landscape irrigation. By maximizing the use of this kind of water, we ensure that California will stretch our limited water supplies for maximum benefit. We've agreed to take amendments that will address the concerns of ACWA, the only opponent. With those amendments, we will have no opposition to this bill. I thank you, and I ask you for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. No. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. No. Cox. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee.
Please call the absent members.
Onnested? Cox? Denham? No. Ducheney? Aye. Harmon? Oropesa? Wiggins? Yee. Yee, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 11. The measure passes. Moving on to file item 47, Senator Hancock, will the Secretary please read? File item 47, Senator Hancock, will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1298 by Senator Hancock, an act relating to categorical education programs.
Senator Hancock.
Thank you, Mr. President. SB 1298 will protect the state investment in career technical education by setting up a process through which a district can withdraw from a joint powers agreement by which the regional occupation programs usually work if it is determined that that withdrawal will not negatively impact career technical education opportunity for high school students in other districts. It passed with bipartisan support throughout and is supported by the Small School District Association, Charter Schools Association, and sponsored by the California Association of Regional Occupational Programs. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Hancock. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Ashburn? Aye to no. Denham? Denham, aye.
Ayes 28, noes.
Hollingsworth, no. Romero, no.
Ayes 28, noes 3. The measure passes. Going back to file item 46, Senator Wolk. Pass on file. Senator Ducheney, you're recognized at your desk.
I apologize for going out of order, Mr. President, but I need to take up Senate Bill 130. It's file item 130.
File item 130.
To get it to the Assembly as soon as possible.
Will the Secretary please read file item 130?
Assembly Bill 190 by the Assembly Committee on Budget, an act relating to the Budget Act of 2010.
Senator Ducheney.
Thank you very much. Mr. President, members, this vehicle is before us as a vehicle, simply to be sent to the Assembly for non-concurrence so it may be used as a budget bill in conference. We are working today. As many of you know, all week we've been working in the Senate committee. We will hopefully conclude our base deliberations today. The Assembly is doing likewise. We're hopeful to go into conference next week, and this bill needs to be moved over and non-concurred so that we may have an appropriate vehicle for those deliberations. Ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Duchesne? Aye. Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Cedillo, aye. Dutton, no. Strickland, no.
Please call the
Wyland, no.
Please call the absent members.
Onnested? Cox? Denham? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Huff? No. Oropesa? Runner? Steinberg? Walters? Wiggins? Denham, no. Walters, no.
Ayes 25, noes 5.
6.
Noes 6. The measure passes. Thank you, Senator Duchesne. Members, we're going to move on to Senator Duchesne.
Request immediate transmittal to the Assembly.
Without objection. Members, we're going to move back to file item 11, and after that we're going to proceed to file item 49 for Senator Kehoe, who will be chairing a committee soon. So will the Secretary please read file item 11?
Senate Joint Resolution 9 by Senator Kehoe relative to the Don't Ask, Don't Tell military policy.
Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. SJR 9 calls on the President and the Congress to repeal our discriminatory Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy by enacting H.R. 1283 and Senate Bill 3065, the Military Readiness Enhancement Acts of 2009 and 2010, respectively. SJR 9 is back in the House for a concurrence after a historic bipartisan vote on the Assembly floor just several working days ago, 51 to 21. The Assembly amendments refer to adding Senator Lieberman and a number of other co-authors. Members, this bill has been before the state legislature, this resolution rather, for the last 3 sessions. Today, congressional committees will take up the federal bills at long last. And although we hope for votes of support, no matter what the outcome, I am so proud of the California legislature having been on record for the last 3 sessions supporting the repeal of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. We have been a part of a very important civil rights discussion, and we've been on the right side of it. We hope the U.S. Congress moves forward today, and I ask for your aye vote on this resolution today.
Thank you, Senator Kehoe. Members, any debate or discussion? Senator Ashburn, recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does anyone really believe that a person's sexual orientation affects their ability to serve our nation and protect our freedom? The answer is that being gay or straight has nothing to do with ability, devotion, courage, honor, skill, and loyalty, the characteristics that I think we would all agree are desirable and necessary for those who serve in our nation's military. My values say that government should be limited, that government has no business in the private lives of our citizens, and that government should never, ever be the sponsor of discrimination. The current policy of don't ask, don't tell is clearly out of date and discriminatory. I rise in support of this resolution because it calls upon our nation's best instincts and seeks to correct a basic discrimination that is hurtful to people and to our country. Now, one reason to vote aye is because the public supports allowing openly gay people to serve in the military. The latest poll, a CNN survey just a few months ago, shows 78% support. And this is consistent with public opinion surveys through the years. 81% support in 2008, 79% support in 2007. So if you need a survey to support your vote for this resolution, the public consistently says that discrimination against gays serving in the military is wrong. Now, another reason to vote for this resolution are the recommendations of those who head our military. Retired former U.S. Commander General David Petraeus was very clear, quote, "Smarts and skills are what matter, not one's sexual orientation." A National Defense Research Institute study in 1993 concluded that, quote, "Circumstances could exist under which the ban on homosexuals could be lifted with little or no adverse consequences." Former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General John Shalikashvili, quote, "I now believe that if gay men and lesbians served openly in the U.S. military, they would not undermine the efficacy of our armed forces." The current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, quote, "I cannot escape being troubled by the fact that we have in place a policy that forces young men and women to lie about who they are in order to defend their fellow citizens." And finally, for those seeking comfort that Republicans should vote to end discrimination against gays in the military, the founder of the modern conservative movement, Barry Goldwater, made his views very clear. And I quote the late Senator Barry Goldwater, "The conservative movement to which I subscribe has as one of its basic tenets the belief that government should stay out of people's private lives. Government governs best," said the former presidential candidate, "when it governs least and stays out of the impossible task of legislating morality." But legislating morality is exactly what we do by perpetuating discrimination against gays. Now, the former Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater put it even more clearly. After more than 50 years, he said, in the military and politics, "I'm still amazed to see how upset people get over nothing." Now, lifting the ban on gays in the military isn't exactly nothing, but it's pretty damned close. I respectfully ask that we rise above discrimination and vote aye on this resolution.
Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Ashburn. Senator Leno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly to add that of all of the countries within NATO, 24 of 26 allow for open service in their militaries. The only two, the United States and Turkey. How could anyone argue that having a national policy that codifies the concept of deception that requires someone to lie to serve our country? A very not too well kept secret is the fact of heterosexual rape within our military. We know that women are at risk of being physically and sexually abused. It's just a fact of life. But with this policy, heterosexual women are threatened to either comply with the demands of their assailant or be outed as lesbian because they've refused the advance. Deception is never good in an interpersonal relationship. it is never good as a national policy. Not only do 70% or 80% of Americans want to see this policy repealed, every poll shows that 60% of Republicans want to see this policy repealed. I would ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Senator Romero, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you much, Mr. President. Members, I wanted to rise and speak in support of this today. As we know, Monday is a very important holiday for this nation, and I'm sure that all of us will be participating in Memorial Day festivities, activities, commemorations, a solemn occasion usually, and all of us have somebody probably that we will remember always. I just wanted to rise because my father very proudly served in the United States Army, and he served during a time when it was a segregated army. He was an American citizen. He believed in this country. When we buried him, he had the American flag draped over his coffin. When he returned home at that time to New Mexico in this nation, he saw signs, no Mexicans, no dogs allowed in restaurants. It never shook his faith in the American dream. It never deterred his patriotism, and he taught that to his sons and his daughters. And so I rise today as somebody who understood in 1940s United States of America that it was wrong to segregate and to leave out people who willingly wanted to serve their country. And so this resolution, I think, speaks much more than looking at gays and lesbians. This resolution speaks about the fight for equality for all of us, and those who are brave enough to stand up and to give us the rights that we preserve and cherish. So I am honored to cast this vote today. It's a policy that doesn't work. It hasn't worked. Let anyone who wishes to serve our country serve with pride and dignity, and my father would, if he were alive today, be proud of this resolution. Thank you, Senator Kehoe, for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Senator Romero. Members, any more debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Kehoe, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank each of the senators for their very supportive remarks, Senator Romero, Senator Leno, and especially Senator Ashburn. I think listening to the floor vote today, members, you can see a little microcosm of how much our state and our nation has moved toward a greater posture, stance on equality relative to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I'm very proud to be presenting this to you all, and I ask most sincerely for your aye vote.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Hollingsworth. No. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. No. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Walters. No. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Denham, no.
Ayes 24, noes 7. The measure's passed. Moving on to file item 49. Before we do that, Senator Kehoe, Senator Padilla is recognized at his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Kehoe. Colleagues, for purposes of an introduction, I want to welcome in the rear of the chambers one of our colleagues from the state of Texas, State Senator Leticia Van de Putte, former president of the National Council of State Legislatures, visiting from San Antonio, and we hope to visit her in the Texas State Capitol sometime soon. Please welcome Senator Van de Putte.
Thank you, Senator Padilla, and welcome to the Senate. Senator Kehoe, we're going to move to file item 49.
President, if I also have file items 69 and 103 that we can do now or later.
Let's do this, Senator Kehoe, if we could.
Take up 49.
If we could take up file item 48, We're to Senator Price and then get to 49, and we'll continue in order. We're right where we should be. Senator Price, you're recognized. File item 48. Would the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 1076 by Senator Price, an act relating to taxation.
Senator Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, SB 1076 would allow taxpayers to make voluntary contributions to the Arts Council on their state personal income tax. The purpose of this bill is to provide an additional source of funding to support the arts within California. As chair of the Joint Committee on the Arts, I've met with and heard testimony from art leaders, educators, organizations, and others concerning funding issues and the impact that the loss of art programs has had on our state. State block grant funding, which was once given directly to the schools for the arts, has been suspended. As a result, California ranks 50th in the nation in funding on arts education. Senate Bill 1076 can potentially offset past reduction in funding without a fiscal impact to our general fund. Arts programs not only provide value to our community, but also provide jobs. There's no known opposition at this time, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this? Seeing hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Simidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, aye.
Ayes 22, noes 7. The measure is passed. Moving back to file item 49. Will the Secretary please read Senator Kehoe's 1350?
Senate Bill 1350 by Senator Kehoe, an act relating to public lands.
Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. This bill simplifies some activities by the State Lands Commission relative to reporting and complying with current law, detailed information about their lands to the Department of General Services. The Commission holds millions of acres of trust tidelands, 450,000 acres of school lands. It can't be declared surplus because it's constitutional, statutory, and common law. This bill will save the state money by exempting public trust lands from DGS reporting. It also adds findings and declarations to the Public Resources Code. It's supported by the State Lands Commission, California Association of Port Authorities. The bill received bipartisan support in committee, and I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa?
Okay.
Cox? Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Simidian? Aye. Steinberg? Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Steinberg, aye. Correa, aye. Runner, no. Ashburn, aye.
Ayes 28, noes 5. The measure is passed. Senator Corbett, do you have an item before we go on to Senator Steinberg for gubernatorial appointments?
Sorry.
Yeah. Senator Steinberg, we're going to recognize you at your desk for gubernatorial appointments.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. File item 6, Dr. Reginald Lowe and Dr. Janet Samalinson as members of the Medical Board of California. These two doctors fill the physician slots on the medical board. They were heard yesterday in the Rules Committee, approved on a 4-0 vote. Dr. Lowe is a cardiologist, director of the UC Davis School of Medicine Heart Center. Dr. Salamanson is medical director of the Cleft Palate Center at St. John's Health Center in Los Angeles. I ask for an aye vote.
Members, is there any objection to unanimous roll call? Ayes 34, no 0. Ayes 33, no 0. The gubernatorial appointment is approved. Senator Steinberg, next item.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Item 7, this is Charles J. Kim as a member of the Acupuncture Board. Yes on a 4-0 vote. Urgent aye vote. Yesterday in rules.
Members, is there any objection to utilizing unanimous roll call? Ayes 33, no 0. The gubernatorial appointment is approved. Senator Steinberg, we are at this point at a juncture. We're going to recognize you at your desk.
We're done. Okay, members, we're going to end the floor session now because Appropriations Committee is going to meet 10 minutes? Yes, 10 minutes. In 10 minutes in room 4203. Immediately after that, the full Budget Committee will meet. Because of the holiday and the fact that the deadline is not this Friday, contrary to some reports, but a week from Friday, we are going to meet this Friday, tomorrow, in session to continue working towards meeting our deadline, which, by the way, I'm very confident we will meet without any problem. We'll meet tomorrow morning at 9:30 and anticipate going until noon tomorrow, 9:30 till noon tomorrow. Thank you.
Members, we're going to, before we adjourn, we're going to recognize Senator Walters for an introduction. We're going to then lift a call, and we're going to recognize Senator Hollingsworth. Senator Walters.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I would just like to announce St. Margaret's Episcopal School. The 4th grade class is here today. It's Mrs. Hawkins, and they're a school in San Juan Capistrano, and the school my kids go to. So
welcome to the California Senate. Senator Hollingsworth.
Yes, I'd like to pull AB 979 and AB 46 from inactive, please.
Without objection. Members, we're going to now move on to the consent calendar. Will the Secretary please read file item 132?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 88, 100, ACR 106, 109, 122, 131, 136.
Members, is there any objection to applying the unanimous roll call? Seeing and hearing none. Ayes 33, no 0. The measure is approved. Members, we're going to lift the call on Senator Padilla's item. File item 36. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
File item 36. Onnested. Calderon. Aye. Cox. Ducheney. Aye. Harmon. Negrete McLeod. Oropesa. Steinberg. Aye. Wiggins. Wright. Yee. Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Wright, aye.
Ayes 21, noes 11. The measure is passed. Members, there is no other business before the Senate. The Senate will be in recess until 9:30 tomorrow morning, upon which the adjournment motion will be made, and we will reconvene tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. The Senate is now in recess until 3:30, in which the adjournment motion will be made. So tomorrow, members, 9:30 a.m. on the Senate floor Friday. The Senate is now in recess.